Okay, so now we're going to look at writing linear equations in slope-intercept form from a table, a graph, and a verbal description. And remember, y equals mx plus b is your slope-intercept form, so I need a slope and I need a y-intercept. I need a starting place. So when they have a table of values, that makes it really easy. And if you know it's linear, then you can go to stat enter and you can type in your x values in y1 and your y values in L2. And you can let the calculator give you your equation. So we're going to go stat, arrow over to calc, and then we've got to pick the right option. Remember, we're only picking 4, 5, or 0, and I want option 4 for a line. So I'm going to press 4, and then I'm going to arrow down to calculate, and I'm going to press enter. And it gives me my A value is 4, B is 5, and my equation is going to be y equals, and if I say follow the format in my calculator, A is 4, so I'm going to say 4x, and then B. And since B is positive, it is going to be plus 5. So my slope is 4. That's my slope value. It's A in your calculator. And then my y-intercept, my starting value is 5. All right, let's look at the graph here. So I have a graph, and again, all I need is a slope and a y-intercept. I can easily find my slope by using two ordered pairs on this graph line. So I'm going to look and see if I can find some good points to use. And this looks like a good point, and this looks like a good point. So this would be the ordered pair -3, -1, and then this is the ordered pair 3, -5. So now I want to plug in my y values for my slope formula. So I'm going to start with -1, and then I'm going to plug in -5. And remember, that subtraction sign in the slope formula is not the negative on the y value. And now I've got to plug in my x values. And since I use -1 first, I have to use its ordered pair, which is -3. And then -5 is going to match up and pair up with an x value of 3. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to type this in. All at once, I'm going to do -1 minus -5 for my numerator, and I'm going to do -3 minus 3 for my denominator, and that is going to give me a slope of -2/3. And I agree that that is a reasonable slope answer because my slope value is negative and my line slants down like a nice negative line, so that tells me that I am on the right track with my slope. My sign is matching up with what I'm seeing in the picture. And now all I need is a y-intercept, and I can find that just by looking at the graph. Where does this graph cross the y-axis? And it crosses the y-axis at -3. So now I can put this together and I can say my equation is y equals, I have a slope of -2/3 x, and then since my slope, my y-intercept is negative, it can be -3. So I'm going to identify these. This is my slope. The -3 is my y-intercept. And there's my equation. All right, looking at verbal description, we've got a 2-foot tall tree is planted in the spring. If the tree grows at a rate of 5 feet per year, write an equation to represent its height, f of t, after each year t. Well, remember that years, time, is x, okay, and then its height, f of t, is y. So I am going to put it in y equals, I need a slope, x, and then it's either going to be plus or minus my starting value, initial value. Okay, so there's a clue word in here, rate. Rate is another word for slope. You may see rate of change, you may see speed, and it tells me that my rate is 5 feet per year. So my slope is 5. And then I need to know, where is this tree starting with its height? What's its initial height value? And its initial height is 2 feet tall. So it's going to be plus 2. So there's your equation. Y is equal to 5 times the value of x plus 2. So you're going to multiply your x, your number of years, by 5 feet, and then you're going to add 2 feet because that's what it started with, and that's how you're going to get the height of the tree.